Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a man of great hope, Brother Álvaro, our Superior General.
Thank you, brothers and Lasallian, and thank you to invite me to participate in your assembly. I am enjoying this day with you. I think to be brother is not a theory, it's a practice, and we are living the means of to be brother. And I am very happy to see the spirit that animates you in this day, the wonderful prayers every day, and especially the quality of your relationships. I think we need to be very proud to be brothers today, maybe more than in the past, because our vocation today is most important than in the past. The world, the church, need brotherhood, sisterhood. And we are the sacraments of the fraternity and sorority. Then I am very happy to have this opportunity to share with you some ideas about that. I am grateful for the invitation to participate in your regional assembly called To Be Brothers, which is the culmination of a 2-year process of ongoing formation during which you have reflected on various levels about this important topic. I think that this is an excellent initiative since being brothers is not something static, but it supposes continual movement and discovering each day in faith what this means, especially in a society marked by individualism, consumerism, and the search for success, in a clerical church where many times seeking the first place is what predominates, along with a vertical stance that disregards the quality of baptism. As brothers, we are called to be the sacrament of the horizontal dimension in the church. Our last general chapter recovered the sense of our association for the service of the poor as our first and most important vow, and it brought back to us the evangelical memory of our origins and the fundamental inspiration established by the founder and the first brothers to live fraternity as a call from God and a response to his universal plan of salvation. In that way, a community of brothers was set up, made up of freely associated persons by God for the service of poor and abandoned youth, a community invigorated by its constant reference to the living God, to his word and glory. That is what the 44th General Chapter invites us to be, and we recall that the first dates of our assembly, men of fraternity among ourselves, inspired by the prayer of Christ, Father, that they all may be one as you and I are one. Men of fraternity with the educators who share the mission with us. Men of fraternity with the youth and adults, especially the poor. Men of fraternity in the church. In my presentation, there are two topics, two parts. The first part is recall you some ideas of our General Council when we had the meeting in Cincinnati with your region, and some ideas of the letter that we sent to the different districts after my visit with Brother Bob Schiller last year. Then the first point is called to be brothers today in the United States and Canada. You are a new region, Relan. Before we recall Edet, Sangre de Cristo. Now we recall Ebert, the new region, Relan. And always the verb is for great hope and joy. For that there are some brothers from Canada here, from Toronto, but even if there are not other brothers from French Canada, I will speak for all the region, Relan, your region. For us, being brothers today means to live God's call in a renewed way. To do this, we should not forget that being attentive to reality and discovering God's action in our history is one of the most precious things we have inherited from our founder, who was always attentive and who allowed himself to be deeply moved by events and persons as the normal way to discover God's will in his regard. We are no brothers in the abstract. We are brothers in our concrete reality, with our young people, with our lay colleagues, with the poor in our country. I would like to recall how the General Council assessed the Lasallian reality of your region at the meeting we had in Cincinnati in 2009, and how I also shared with you some of my impressions and recommendations during my 2.5 month visit to your districts in 2011. An outside look can surely grasp better the achievements and richness that you are experiencing as brothers, and it can also intuit some of the unresolved challenges. Einstein said that to be aware of the movement is important to be out of the movement. Maybe some person who is out your reality can a better position to realize the very positive points that you are living today. We spoke about, in the presentation of Brother Donald, he spoke about hope. I think we need today to be men and women of hope in the Lasallian world. Maybe young people today, the thing that they need more is to be encouraged to live with a great hope, even if we are living in a difficult moment in our human history today. I would like to highlight the following points from the General Council report. Our global impression is of a region very well organized and structured. You are a region with brothers and partners in leadership roles that are well defined and with a clear sense of purpose. You are a dynamic region, and this assembly is a proof of that. We are in great admiration how your many ministries, especially those serving the poor, as San Miguel School and others, are able to continue and flourish without government financial support. And we know the difficulties, and it's very sad, the reality that you have closed 2, 3 San Miguel School in the last years. The Botimer Institute of Lasallian Studies, the Lasallian Leadership Institute, and the Lasallian Social Justice Institute are creative initiatives benefiting not only Lasallians in your region, but in other English-speaking regions of the Institute as well. Think about a creative way to validate who are associates and what Lasallian association can mean for your region. There is a desire for more structure and definition of association and associates. It is our belief that regions will probably need to develop local definition and local experience. We are living in the last month in France, a very interesting experience with the creation of a new reality they call la fraternité lasallienne, to assure the future of our mission and to strengthen our association. Be even more aggressive in vocation promotion. We encourage more creativity like the Lasallian Teacher Immersion Program. That was in 2009. Today, I think you have lived a great progress in this dimension. I am very happy to see it. Last year in my visit and this day during this assembly, that for you, brother, in United States especially, you are very concerned with Lasallian vocation and brother vocation. I think it's a wonderful reality to see the number of contacts that you have. That means that for many young people in your country, they think that it's worthy to be a brother. I think it's a new reality that you are living. It's a new motivation to be men of hope and all the Lasallian, men and women of hope. In your own ministry, remember our task is to be evangelical men, called to live the gospel, an ecological preserve of humanity. We are to be sacraments of love to those we encounter. We are called to be the most human face of the church. I think religious life today is the most human face of the church, and especially brother congregation are the more human face of the church. We need to be the more human face of the church. I am sure for many people, you are the more human face of the church. Then our vocation is wonderful, for this is an extraordinary gift from God for the church and the world. That were some ideas of the report of the Superior General and General Council to the Regional Conference of Christian Brothers in 2009. And second, impression and recommendation from my visit garnered from the letters that were sent to districts. Many of these things can be applied to other of your district. We speak the letter for each district. The first letter was to the district of Midwest, but many of these things are applied for all the districts in your region. Our senior brothers are a grace for the Institute today. Our senior brother is a grace of God for us. Their fidelity to their vocation, their constancy in times of adversity, and their lives of prayer are counterpoints for young people surrounded by superficial models in the entertainment and sport worlds. Young people need witness of fidelity today, and we have this witness in our elder brothers. It's a grace of God for the Institute, the number of elder brothers. It's not a problem, it's a grace of God for us. A particular blessing of the United States-Canada region is the openness of your communities. I have a great appreciation for that. It's the region where the communities are more open for other people. You welcome partners and students to your communities for prayer, meals, and socials. At this time in the life of the Institute, our communities must witness to young people and the wider church of God's presence in our world. A community opened outward allows others to see who we are, men of God, followers of Jesus. And not only they can see young people, they can see us, as Sister Sujita said yesterday, a very good administrator, very good teacher, very good, but they need to discover the other dimension of our life. As we shared with you during the visit, our institute, church, and world are living a moment of difficulty. Still, it is a good moment because it is God's moment, God's time. This is the time God has given us to live in. It is a good time to be alive and to be a brother. Institute history has taught us that God is especially active at present in challenging moments. At such times, deepening one's spiritual life takes a new urgency. And we recall yesterday. We invite you to support one another's interior life and the regular prayer life of the community. When we live most authentically as spiritual men, we are at our creative best in responding to the needs of the young, the church, and the world. You will recall that the theme of the 44th General Chapter was "with open eyes and burning hearts." That expression became very real for us when we met with the two student groups involved. This observation is for San Francisco District. Yes, you recall that the theme of the 44th General Chapter was "with open eyes and burning hearts." That expression became very real for us when we met with the two student groups involved with the El Otro Lado project. Through this cross-border immersion experience, students' eyes are open to the debilitating impact of immigration. They spoke with passion of the immigrants' endurance and suffering to secure a better life for the family and loved ones. It was a very moving moment for us to listen to the young people speaking from their hearts. Another point for New Orleans Santa Fe. The vitality of the Lasallian mission was visible, and every ministry we visited, which is blessed with dedicated and committed partners and brothers who provide outstanding leadership and programs to keep the Lasallian spirit alive. The integral nature of the school curricula admirably brings together three basic components of Lasallian education: community service, teaching of religion, and promotion of social justice. This was demonstrated in our visit to El Paso and our meeting with students participating in the Juárez Joven project, which was a particularly moving moment for us. And for Dina, the gathering of young brothers of all the district was the young brother of the region in Philadelphia. The gathering of young brothers demonstrate your district's and the region's commitment to the promotion of the brothers' vocation. It is essential that this remain a priority, not only for your vocation team, but all the brothers and local vocation teams at the different ministries. It is an opportune time to vigorously promote the broader vocation as well as all Lasallian vocations. Related to the promotion of vocation is the important role of accompaniment. Why certain sectors of the Institute are fortunate to annually receive young men into their houses of formation, perseverance remains a challenge. Young men need qualified brothers to work with them as they mature in religious life. Your district has an excellent program of accompaniment. We commend you for this and express our gratitude to the brothers involved. And it's very good to see that most of your initial formation program are now at regional level. I think that is important. That is very important. We can have a more quality formation with that. We noted that accompaniment takes many forms in the district. In addition to accompanying young brothers in the various stages of initial formation, we learn, for example, of the accompaniment of young men and families at Ocean Tides and Tides Family Service, of senior teachers mentoring new teachers at the La Salle Academy in Providence, and peer accompaniment in the 3 Lasallian association groups of the district. And I think in all the district now you are looking for these new groups of brother and lay people together that can assure better the mission in the future, but they need accompaniment and formation. And one word about Canada. Canada is one of the regions where the brothers are older. Nevertheless, the Lasallian mission there is healthy. The average is 81.5. It's one of the most high average of the brothers in the Institute. But thanks to the brothers who were able to attract young people who are committed in a very creative way to evangelizing, catechetical or summer programs. I had the opportunity to celebrate in Montreal in last May, in the inauguration of the new region Relan, and there I said the French Canada is the district of happiness in our institute. It also seems to me that Canada is the district in the French Canada, in the institute that has learned how to maintain the youthful spirit of its many retired brothers who, as far as they are able, have great interest in the Lasallian mission and follow it very closely. I think it's a good example for the whole institute, this spirit of the Canadian brothers. And the second point now, consecrate for an evangelizing mission. Consecration, fraternal life in community, and the mission are, you know well, inseparable. God has consecrated us as brothers for an evangelizing mission. This experience, at the same time contemplative and filled with activity, make us feel, in the words of Teilhard de Chardin, that we are children of heaven and children of the earth, in a profound unity, without one drawing out the other. Our vocation as brothers. Jesus said in Matthew, and you are all brothers. The most important is to be brothers, and you are all brothers. The call to fraternity, to be brothers, is no doubt a universal call for all human beings. It is a wonderful call which surely in the collective experience of humankind has represented for the great majority one of the richest, deepest, and beautiful relationships that one can live. To be brothers is a profound desire which throughout human history has been one of the most authentic expressions of love. The call to be brother has often had a strong religious connotation, and the gospel is proof of this. But there are also have been secular connotations of this, like the contradictory type of fraternity proclaimed by the French Revolution. Nevertheless, from the first page of the Bible, we find the fraternity is something very fragile, and it can easily turn into rivalry or even hatred. Not just between Cain and Abel, but also between Esau and Jacob, between Joseph and his brothers. The history of fraternity is confusing. Next to extraordinary case of witness, we find horrific tragedies such as ethnic struggles between brothers, irrational terrorism that sacrifice innocent victims, religious fundamentalism which justifies violence in the name of God, the extension and the hardening of conflicts between nations that cannot find a solution, increased unemployment, growing migration, the lack of a future for many children and young people who are abandoned in the streets, the production and sale of weapons, and even globalization itself that leaves great numbers of impoverished people outside and excluded. Our call to be brothers helps us to understand that our community life should make manifest the possibility of fraternity. I think community life is one of the most important dimensions of our mission. It's not mission in one way and community in other way. Community is a very important part of our mission. The witness that the fraternity is possible today is very important for our work. It's a very important dimension of our mission. There are two ways of understanding community. The first way looks at the community as a place, lifestyle, community activities, work, a common roof, structures. The second way looks at community as relationships, communion, intersubjectivity. If in the past we used to think that to improve community we have to change all the structures, today we believe that to improve community we should above all strengthen and enrich our relationships. This will also help us to discover the transforming value of love and to experience that the kingdom of God is in our midst when we grow together, mutually care for one another, do common projects, pray in a united way, share our suffering. In a word, when we are brothers, our being brothers facilitates this gospel attitude to avoid all kinds of superiority, and it is able to work with. Fraternity is our path to God and the best way of expressing love of neighbor. And we are called to be brothers and consecrate to the Trinity. The anointing we have received and the covenant God established with us, since it is He who initiates and calls, consecrates us brothers, not as something sacred, separate or superior, but as Isaiah said, it has to do with an anointing that takes the burden from your shoulder and the yoke from your neck. It also has to do with a covenant which, like that of Jesus, translates into filiation, love, and communion for the life of the world. Our consecration places us not over, but next to children, young people, the poor, the infirm, the excluded, the unbeloved, the victims of injustice. Therefore, it seems to me that the critique Jesus made to the youth's practice of Korban, that vow of consecration, that whatever is offered to God is considered sacred and removed from ordinary use, might shed some light in our reflection. Jesus categorically rejected the practice whereby an individual could avoid doing his duty that obliged him to support his parents by consecrating his goods to God, thus declaring them to be sacred. At Nazareth, citing Isaiah, Jesus tells us that his consecration does not separate from his people. On the contrary, his consecration is also to the small and needy. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord. The plan of Jesus should be our own plan. The Spirit of the Lord is also upon us and has consecrated and anointed us to bring the good news, to help young people find meaning in their lives, to liberate any form of slavery, to make history with the poor, to be instruments of God's grace and reflection of his tenderness. We are called then to live our personal and community lives with the accent on the Trinity. To live as brothers is our privileged way of seeking the glory of the most holy Trinity, the glory of the Father, who in Jesus is revealed as tenderness and mercy, the glory of the Son, who is revealed in the face of the poor, the hungry, the imprisoned, the sick, and who invites us to continue his saving mission, the glory of the Spirit, who uncovers in us the seeds of the kingdom beyond the limits of the church and open us to dialogue and respect. Maybe the richness that I have lived during my years as superior, even as vicar general and superior, is to discover the human quality of young people and all the people of different cultures and different religions. It's a grace of God to discover that. We can see the human quality of the people everywhere. This year I was 5 weeks in Middle East District, the district of Proshorian, and was a wonderful experience to see a student of different cultures, different religions together at Lasallian, identify with the Lasallian values. They speak about faith, community, service, Muslim, Buddhist, Hinduist, all of them are identified with the Lasallian values. In this visit, I have a wonderful experience in Jaffa, where we have a school with a student and teacher, youths, Muslim and Christian for many different denominations, for 32 countries, different countries. The students come for 32 different countries. And they learn, all of them, 4 languages: Hebrew, Arabic, English, and French. And they need to choose another language to learn. And was a wonderful experience. In my first visit to Jaffa was during the holidays, the vacation, but we had the possibility to have a meeting with the teacher. And one youth teacher introduced me a Muslim teacher, and she said to me, she is my best friend in the school. She is my best friend, a youth in relation with a Muslim, Arabic person. And in New Zealand, I had lived another wonderful experience in my visit in Auckland to the school. The president of the student accompanied me during all the visit, and he was a Muslim. In New Zealand there are very few Muslims, but he was a Muslim. And at the end of the visit, he said to me, "Brother, pray for me." A Muslim asking the prayer of a Catholic religious. I think in our Lasallian world we are living a wonderful reality. To be brother means to be brother without borders, to be open to all the people, in spite of the different culture, religion, ideology, ideas. I think it's our great richness. That means to be brother. Called to live a fraternal spirituality. Following Christ is the essential characteristic of consecrated life, as all church documents have reminded us in the recent years, starting from Vatican II. Among other things, this means making his face as a brother visible. We are called to reproduce the image of the Son, the firstborn among many brothers, as Paul said in Romans. Rediscovering Christ as brother, the call to continue his mission for the building of a world where all can feel that they are brothers and sisters, and the importance that today is given to a spirituality of communion, no doubt can be one of the contributions that we brothers can give to the world, to the church, and to religious life. Therefore, as I recall on other occasions, we are called to be spiritual companions. I do not speak of a spiritual master, because our richness is in being brothers, And it seems to be that in this sense, the term companion responds better to what is most characteristic of our vocation and our style, which is better identified along horizontal lines than vertical lines. This means being seekers of God, able to offer to each person some guidelines for their own search, humble guides with no pretensions, certainly aware of our own inconsistency, but able to accompany our brothers, young people, our colleagues in their journey of faith, identifying with their weakness, doubts, and frailness. The brother's spirituality shares the essential importance that all forms of consecrated life give to prayer as a place of encounter with God. But here, too, fraternity gives a special tint to our prayer. As your brother, Larry Schatz, expressed it a few years ago, the form of our prayer is not as important as the fact that we brothers gather together to pray. To pray together is an essential support in our lives as brothers. I eagerly anticipate the time for community prayer, for the great sense of support and peace that it gives me in knowing that together we are focused on God. I believe that in the broader spirituality, apostolic prayer should hold a special place, as the founder reminds us with the image of Jacob's ladder in his meditation for the time of retreat. The Father, who in prayer tells us, "Come and experience my gratuitous love," also says in the same prayer, "Go and share that love with your brothers and sisters, especially with the least loved." This is a prayer which, like of the Our Father, moves between the Father and the kingdom through the mediation of Jesus with the strength of the Spirit. And I conclude. The God who called and sent us, chosen us, not to judge and condemn, but to transform and give life. He called us to be brothers. He wishes to act through us, and therefore we need to welcome and embrace the force of his compassionate love and the passion of the Father for the small, sinners, the infirm, those who suffer, the marginalized. Take on and incarnate the power of the saving mission of Jesus Christ, proclaiming the good news to the poor, the young people in search of meaning, to our lay colleagues with their own family problems and labor concerns. Embrace and discern the unifying and sanctifying force of the Spirit who brings us together in the church, especially with those who are distanced from it, which open us to the dimension of the kingdom in our openness to all peoples, cultures, and religions. Let ourselves be deeply moved and updated by the strength of the mission of the church, a sign of God's passion for the salvation of all, a bearer who humanizes and evangelizes. Journey with and be supported by the fraternal love that supports us and make us faithful servants of the mission. And finally, recognize with thanksgiving the signs of the growth of the kingdom in our history. and constantly renew the eschatological hope of the final unification. As Paul said, everything belongs to you, and you to Christ, and Christ to God. And also, as Paul said in Philippians, I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work in you will continue to complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. That is our hope.
We have about 15 minutes if there are any questions for Brother Álvaro.
Good morning, Brother Superior General. Good morning, everybody. At the beginning of this meeting, Brother Robert Schiller told us that there are about 700 brothers in the United States, and at one time, there were about 700 brothers in one district. What I suggest is a consolidation of the United States and Canada into one district. We have too many people in administration. We can learn from the corporate world where they have business mergers and consolidations. What I think we need is not duplication, but consolidation.
Thank you, brother, for your question. I will start with the last idea to consolidation. And I recall in the life of our founder, at the beginning, the Institute was growing a lot, but at one moment that stopped, and the founder thought that was the time of consolidation. And I think maybe we are living today a time of consolidation. But we need to be very creative to find the best way to do that. At the same time, we are living a very special moment in our history. In my visit last year, I shared with you the idea that almost every 100 years we have lived a very special situation in our history. After the French Revolution in 1804, the brothers started again in France, in Lyon, but there were a very small group. We had at that moment only the community in Rome, and maybe there were 60 brothers who respond to the call to start again the Institute. And 100 years later, with the laws of Combes in France, we lost the possibility of education in France. At that moment, we were 10,600 brothers only in France, 10,600 brothers in France. But it was a providential moment for the internationalization of our institute. And we are living today another, 100 years later, we are living today another wonderful reality, a providential reality with association with lay people. then we are less brothers, but we are more Lasallian people engaged in the mission. We are more students today than when we were 18,000 brothers. We have more students today. And our school, is my experience in my visit to the whole institute, my last visit last year here in United States and Canada, for me was a proof of the vitality of the Lasallian mission today. Then maybe we need to be creative. There are not only one formula to do that. We need to respond to the needs of our reality. And I think you are doing very well the movement that you are done until today with the new structure of the biggest districts, DINA, Midwest, many years ago, Midwest, DINA, the conversation between San Francisco and New Orleans. I think at that moment is a good reality for us. We don't know the future. We need to invite the future. We need to create the future. Maybe in the future it's possible to become only one district. But I think for the moment it's better to continue it as now. And to have this new organization with the San Francisco, New Orleans in the future. You are running in this way. And after that, you can see, but I think today we have another structure that is very important, is the region. The region today is more important than in the past. And you have a new region with United States and Canada. You have this union of United States and Canada. And I think it was a wonderful sign of fraternity, of unity. The brothers in French Canada were very afraid at the beginning with this idea. But now they agree, this reality, and I think it's possible because we are brothers, because we are open to the needs of the others. And I think this new reality you are living is a new structure, Canada, United States, in the region RELAN. And it was very nice to see that you sacrifice your United States, Canada, USA, Toronto, USA, and you accept a French word, Région Lasallienne, Région Lasallienne de l'Amérique du Nord. Was a sign of fraternity, of brotherhood, of the part of your former region, USA, Toronto. Was a very nice sign of fraternity. And I think it's very enriching for both, for you and for the Canadian French brother. It's very enriching, this new reality of this new region. But at the same time, we are living another wonderful reality in your region, in your districts, is the new vocation, brother vocation. And the new interests that there are in some young people, but in general in you brothers and other Lasallian to brother vocation. I think that is a wonderful reality. That means that we can grow in again. And we need to work very, very hard in this direction. But at the end, it's not the center of the institute that we take a decision to you become only one district. It's your decision, it's your work, it's a process that you need to live, but we don't know if is that the best solution, or maybe there are other possibilities that can help to the growing in a best way for your districts.
Brother, one of the things that I admire in your leadership, like a good leader, you sense the new and you affirm it and encourage it. And one area that I think that I'd like you to maybe comment on further is our tremendous growth in the young Lasallian movement in the world and the potential they have as leaders. A few years ago, right now I'm 53, I was discouraged a few years ago when I looked behind me and I didn't see a lot of vowed brothers. That was my paradigm. In the last 10 years, as you know, I've lived with Lasallian volunteers, and now I look behind me, so to speak, and there are 400 alumni Lasallian volunteers and volunteers, each so full of the Spirit, empowering us to grow as brothers and lay colleagues. So I would like to hear your thoughts on this whole concept of the young Lasallian movement as it's empowered by the International Council and so many other areas that I think a lot of the brothers in our region are maybe not even aware of or not as aware of as you would be with your global vision. Thank you.
I think it's a very important topic, the Lasallian youth in this moment of our history. Everywhere, this year in the Middle East District, everywhere in my visit I speak about Lasallian volunteer in the United States. It's a wonderful reality that you have lived in the last years. It's a wonderful reality. It's an example how we can live in a new way the Lasallian mission. And I think it's very important to work with young people. We have some districts, I prefer to reserve the name of this district, but we have in the Institute some districts where all the Lasallian brother and lay people are very old. They have no young people. Young people is fundamental for the future of our mission. And young people are very open. In my visit to United States last year, one of the most important impressions I have experienced was the openness of young people in the United States. In my meetings with all the group of young people in many different schools, I found a very open, I found the young people with a great openness to many things, and especially to serve the others, at the number of the programs that you have for the service to the others, social justice and other programs. It's a wonderful reality. We need young people. Young people is a very important part of our association. When we speak about association, and maybe it's better to say that when we speak about Lasallian youth or Lasallian young people, that is part of our association. No, it's association in a way, young people in another. No, the young people are associated with us. I think the volunteers are maybe a temporary association, but for many of them later they become teachers in our schools. Some of them brothers, they continue this association. It's important to believe in young people and to believe that they are very open to live the Lasallian charism in different ways. In the Institute, we have done a big effort, we have do a great work to reinforce the Lasallian youth movement. And I need to recognize the very important role that played Brother Bill Mann when he was Vicar General in my first term. And we start an international movement of young people, Lasallian young people. And I think we are living a wonderful experience in many countries. young people today are very open to commit themselves in the Lasallian mission in different ways. But I think, especially for the future of our association, we need to be very close to young people. I remember in my visit to 2 countries in Latin America, to Chile, Temuco in Chile, and León, Nicaragua, I spoke about association with a group of lay people, and there were young people. And in the 2 places, they said to me, but you didn't say something for us. We wish to live, associate with you. I think they are looking for that. And it's important, and I am very happy to see in your region that you are very concerned to work directly with young people, not only as the Lasallian volunteers, but many other groups that you have in the different schools.
Thank you, brother.